Huzzah and well met. The gentleman and I went to go to Red Cloud Mountain to find Mr. Percy, and we ran into some trouble with the gith. And one of them, I am sure, was the one that stole Tempest's prick from Abel. And we dropped fireballs, and we stabbed, and Filnyr cast some crazy green light that seemed to have a horrible effect. I'm going to have to ask him many questions about that spell. And then we ran into a giant gith that seemed to have Tempest's prick. I tried my hardest to keep him from escaping, but he happened to get away. But that is all right. I heard where he was going. So we are now about to enter Red Cloud Mountain to retrieve Mr. Percy, and then at some point we will maybe take Lakeshire so that we can take the people there. I am not sure. We currently don't have a home, but once we are victorious in the mountain, I'm sure we will work it out. We always do. Gentlemen, it is time for Dungeon Dads.
Huzzah!
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Heroes rise, heroes fall. I see 'em on the front line, standing tall. They're risking life and limb to answer the call. But what they fighting for? Don't know, don't care. Just along for the ride, but everyone must stand. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna win inside.
Oh, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Are we really cutting all that out?
Yes. Listen, man, our show is loose. We don't need to be that loose.
Well, let me catch everybody up. The dads were on their way to Red Cloud Mountain, where, as Jonas told you, Mr. Percy and Vera Cloudsack, along with Waverly's children, are awaiting rescue from former Harkies. There's also a potential divine presence there, or something very powerful in the Red Cloud Mountain that's an enemy to the octopus god under the lake, Ihai Uhyon. As they camped across the lake, looking out at the red cloud, Jonas learned a new trick, actually. He forgot to mention that from a book that Florin gave him. They found out that Galwinia is hiding out in the very jail cell that she was once in charge of, and she's disguised as the Adaran prisoner Grim Portnoy. And she also shared the information that the famous wizard from Waterdeep, Jesus of the Orc Wars, had taken over Lakeshire. And he's either behind the Gith attacks on the Breen, or at the very least is taking advantage of them. And finally, as they approached the foot of the Red Cloud, they did fight and dispatch a small contingent of Gith, one of whom wielded Tempest's prick, but unfortunately, due to...
Seemed like a pretty big contingent to me. I don't think you need to be downplaying the size of our contingent.
It was big. It was big, compared to you guys. But compared to an invasion army, pretty small.
Sure.
The one who took Tempest's prick from Abel is now dead on this battlefield. And when we left off last time, the guys had not yet searched their bodies, and they have not entered the cave that they came out of. Did I miss anything?
We still have a horny winter wolf.
And you still have a really pervy winter wolf. And I just want to remind everybody, this is what happens when a beast is awakened. It's like they're reborn as a newborn babe. And this particular wolf has been awakened for 5 or 6 years, and he is now fully into puberty. And the changes happening in his mind and his body are difficult to contend with.
But wouldn't puberty already have happened physically?
Yes, but mentally he's just re-entering it now.
I feel like this is what happens when we develop a character and don't keep ourselves in check. I think you should be an example of the restraint we show with all other characters, that they aren't all just like hornballs.
Pervy.
Only about 30% of them are.
That's right.
Because, you make one joke and then it's like you tell your grandma you're into unicorns and then that's all you get for birthdays for the next 10 years. You make one like horny joke about a character and then it's really easy for it to just become the thing about that character.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, thank God Rolo's got some other characteristics now,
Oh, that's right. Rolo's a bit pervy, but he's not that pervy. Yeah. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
But I just want to remind everybody, I'm Tom Blaylock. I'm your DM. And I'm joined today, as always, by the finest budding wizard in all of the Breen, John Watson, playing Ionas Silhavind. Hello, John.
Yes, baby. Hello. Welcome back.
Hello. Who has now a charisma-based spell. I think that's pretty cool.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm also joined by Tim Carr, who's playing Filnyr Omajira, who is a bit of a Ronin now. And I'm really interested in seeing how that plays out. How's it going, Tim?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. And finally, playing Abel Rockbrother, Abel Snowflower, Sam Frank. I also think of you as a bit of a Ronin in this campaign, but you're sort of embracing the iconoclast here.
Yeah, high strength and wisdom in the game, low constitution and charisma. In real life, exactly the opposite.
Well, are you guys ready to get into this?
I'm ready.
Okay. So you look out at a field of dead basilisks and gith. The ground is still scorched and burning in places. There is the green light from the cave is still shining and is still anything that's in there is dying even as we speak. And you have a few minutes here.
Sorry, my boots.
Yeah. And
they caught on fire there a little bit.
Pawson kind of sniffs the air and he says, "There might be one more thing alive inside that cave. It's another entrance into the Underdark, and we can find our way to Donatus this direction."
Donatus. That is not a name you have said before.
It's a name I keep in my mind.
Is that the mountain?
It's a name we use sometimes to describe Master.
What are some other names that you use?
In all honesty, I rarely mention Master by name. My lady sometimes called him Takao-san.
Does that have any kind of special meaning?
I don't know. But I do warn you, I must enter the mountain soon. My stomach is quite full.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure how much longer I can hold my lady down.
So you're trying to give her to the mountain?
That's why I came here. I must return her to her maker.
Are you able to wait an hour?
Do you have any cheese?
I'm sure I can find some somewhere.
That might help me wait an hour or a bit longer without passing my lady.
Wheel of cheese sort of binds you up, huh?
More than you know, priest.
You have to pass her near the mountain?
Yes, I must pass her in the mountain.
But if
It's a funeral rite that she deserves.
and we are also more than willing to just wait here while you handle your business.
I will have to eat it again, and I do not want to do that, wizard.
Oh, gross.
I'm assuming rations do not include cheese. It tends not to be the kind of thing.
I do not smell cheese anywhere here.
Well, let's go check out this cave and see who's still alive in there.
Yes, we can.
I go to the entrance in the cave.
Hold on. The sickening radiance is still at the cave entrance.
Are you guys gonna look through the men who are dead on the?
Yeah, I'd like to.
No,
peruse
I think we just leave him.
Would we? You'd recognize the one with the Fu Manchu, right? You said that one was dead.
He's dead. He's there on the ground.
I just kick him as I walk by. Let's take care of survivors first.
Survivors? You mean ourselves?
Pawson just said there's something still alive in the cave.
There's something.
Pawson, is it a threat?
It seems to be hiding.
It smells like it's hiding.
Yeah, it's standing still. How deep into the cave does your green light go, Master?
Just 30 feet.
Could you show me with your hands how long that is?
That's quite further than I can reach with my hands, Pawson. You see the cave entrance to where it comes out towards us. It goes just as deep within.
Yeah. He seems to be standing at the corner of wherever this thing is.
Drop your evil light, Filnyr.
I can make it go
away, evil light.
Okay, I'll drop concentration on it.
Okay.
Ugh. I took a step in before it was totally gone. Sorry, just in back.
I don't think you want to do that because it's
yeah. Okay, you
con
want to
save,
roll
buddy.
40-10?
No, I just caught a whiff. I just caught a
Okay.
aftershock.
just like in the lingering odor that's still there after the concentration's broken.
No, Jonas, don't come over here. If you start doing this, then I'm going to start.
Don't worry, I'm staying right here.
All right, come out, whoever's in there.
I'm gonna send Saber in beside Abel so that I can see.
Okay. So this cave is so it's really the cave opening, even though it's quite large, it really it's well hidden. It sort of is camouflaged with the surroundings. And as Saber and Abel, you're going in too?
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the mouth of the cave shouting into it right now.
Yeah, so it's one of these things where it gets much larger on the inside than the opening, and because of that, it's just there's like a line of darkness that is really hard to see beyond, and the wolf says, "She approaches."
Who?
Approach away.
All right, Saber has advantage on smell. What does he smell?
Yeah, he smells ale, and he smells sweat, and he smells a great deal of urine in the cave. And
he's standing
sulfur.
right next to me, isn't he?
Nice.
He is. and then
sorry, I tend to overpower whatever is nearby.
Over all of that Abel stink, he smells give me a perception check from him.
Okay.
I've got 2 details. One you're going to get automatically, and one he's going to need to roll for.
Okay. Okay, that's that's a 9.
Okay.
Wait, doesn't he get
It's a
advantage?
smell, though, so you get advantage,
Oh,
right?
advantage.
One more time.
Roll again.
We count
Oh, natural 20.
Okay. So he smells female dwarf, and Saber is attuned enough to the way bodies change during certain phases of existence that he can tell that she is pregnant.
Oh, all right.
And he can tell that she is pregnant not with a dwarf.
Oh.
God damn, Saber.
And
That mongoose has a nose on him.
Oh, he's got a serious
Jesus.
nose. Well, it's a natural 20 nose.
It's a natural 20 nose.
Does it smell like she's pregnant with a gith?
No.
Okay.
No. It is not a smell. The only reason why he knows she's pregnant with something other than a dwarf is because he's positive she's pregnant with something other than anything he's ever come across.
Oh. All right.
And
I put my senses through Saber.
okay. And so she begins to approach, and Sam, Abel was on the Red Cloud Mountain for a long time. He knew the Holdershek elves. Did he know? Dwarves. Did he know any other dwarves?
Not on purpose.
Okay.
He was
she
a
does
hermit
not-
after all.
She does not look. She does not look like a Holdershek dwarf to you, Abel. And Jonas, she has her hair sort of pulled tight in the middle, and there are 2 braids on either side of it in the way that Monteran dwarves keep their hair.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
And she comes out and she says, "Hey, y'all.
Who goes there?
Are y'all here to save me?
Your name, please?
What's your name?"
He asked you first.
My name is Handra.
Andrew.
Last name's not important.
Yeah, you saying that makes it somewhat more important.
Yeah,
sure
I
it might to
I wouldn't
you.
have thought nothing of it until you said that.
And she looks straight at Jonas on the outskirts, and she says, "Is this some kind of trick?"
I could ask you the same question. You do not look like you're from here. You look like you're from Monterre.
You're saying you don't recognize me?
That's what I'm
Ionas,
saying. I recognize that you are definitely that you carry yourself the way a Monterran dwarf would carry herself.
And she's got a Monteran dwarven accent.
She sure does. She sure does. All those Monteran dwarves talk like this.
So Filnyr and Ionas were still sort of back from Abel, right? So I think we'd have to walk up. I think Filnyr was probably just like looking over the gith to see if they had anything of interest, but would divert his attention.
The Fu Manchu gith has a scroll on him.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you're not going to take the time to open it right now. You
No,
could.
I'll just grab it.
Okay. She just keeps coming out, and she says, "So you're here to take me up, or not?"
Well, that's not exactly what we were here for, but obviously we are happy to save you from a fate of cannibalism and hardship and horror. You're welcome.
Well, I do thank you for that. Truth be told, they weren't going to hurt me.
Oh, and why is that? Since you don't seem to be saying anymore.
Well, they were. I mean, they could sense what's going on here in the mountain, and they come to pay their respects.
What is going on here in the mountain?
It's
I mean, I know, but pretend like I don't.
Well, it's dawn of a new age. We're all coming back.
The old age.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that now. I can see by the man you're traveling with here, and she nods over at Jonas. She says, I can see by the man you're traveling here with that you would like the old age, but there's nothing any of y'all can do about that now. Everything is going to change. And she pats her belly, and she says, everything is about to be wonderful.
Well, congratulations to you. Again, you didn't answer my question.
Thank you. And congratulations to you.
On what exactly?
On the new age we're all going to get to enjoy in a very short order.
What exactly are you speaking about? You didn't answer my question. How did you find yourself here?
Well, my new husband is here, and I am helping him to bring on a new change, a new world that we can all be proud of.
With all due respect, if you are in need of rescue, where is this husband you speak of? I do not see him here.
Well, that's why I thought you were coming to take me up to him. You are not dressed like the novitiates, but you look like men who can handle yourselves and protect me from the various enemies here.
Who is your husband?
Well, my husband is the biggest fish around here.
Your husband is a fish.
No, he's not a fish. It's just something we say up on the mountain. And she looks around and she leans into Abel and she says, I'm married to your very king.
My king?
Your king.
And he's a fish.
Well, the fishes better beware of my husband.
I hate to break it to you, lady, but I ain't sworn to no kings.
Is Pawson doing anything with her? Does he have a reaction to her?
He is not sure what to make of her. He is sniffing around too. He is very interested in her. But he's not seen her before. This is a new development for him.
So you said the gith came to pay their respects. This is to you and your husband?
Well, they can sense a certain power, and they were here to. They don't respect anything in this plane, apparently, but except power. And I was just giving them a little taste of the real power of the brain.
Oh, I got a suspicion about Fishwife over here.
Is she connected to the spirit of the mountain or something?
Lady, do you think you're married to the mountain?
I don't think anything. Human?
Oh, how long have you been up here on the mountain?
A little over 1, 2, carry the 1, 3 years.
Were you mostly by yourself that whole time?
I've been here in this cave that whole time.
Ain't no shame in it. I sort of look both ways. Look back at the guys like I'm gonna regret saying this. The Holdershek dwarves, they called me Rock Brother because, well, there's a short period there where I used to carry around this rock that I thought was my brother.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
It was a brief spell of 7 to 8 years. And it's the kind of thing that can happen when you're by yourself for a little too long. You find yourself marrying inanimate objects, imbuing all sorts of things with spirits of friendliness and companionship that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise.
She begins to unbutton the front of her tunic.
No,
And
no, put it away.
And she opens
you've been
it
up here a long time, I understand, but Lord.
She opens it up and it reveals a truly pregnant belly. And she says, "So you're saying that you pretending to talk to rocks is somehow the same as me taking the child of Donatus?"
Well, not exactly the same, but
it does seem a bit different. So you would have us lead you back up to Donatus, even though you have somehow... How did you see him before if you have been stuck in this cave for 3 years? Why do you need to be escorted to him?
Well, I only say it's been 2 or 3 years because that's when I first entered the tunnel. It was 3 years ago. My clan of stonecutters invited me to, offered me up as a tribute, as it were, and so I entered the tunnel, and that's where I met him. And he told me he was the mountain.
And he entered your tunnel?
Well, it doesn't work like that. It's not the same as with people.
Yeah, listen, this is a story old as time. There were similar stories about Jesus. Of the Orc Wars. I didn't believe them neither.
Was this, you spoke of a tunnel. Was this a white tunnel?
Well, it surely was. It's part of an old series of tendrils that stretch across the breen and connect all the holiest places on our sweet island of Gilbrain. One of them is right down in the center of Monterre. Several are in these mountains, and it's a way to get from one place to the next. I thought I was just traveling through, but instead, it's where I met my man, my husband.
And how long were you in this tunnel?
It didn't feel like very long, to be honest with you. But when I came out, everything was a little different. And immediately the Holdershek dwarves started bringing me tributes. And when the gith came, at first they were acting like they were going to hurt me. And then I raised my hands like this. And she sort of holds her hands up. And you see that loose boulders begin to shake around her. And they start to roll toward her. And she says, "I couldn't do this before. Look at these." And the ground is sort of shaking. It's hard to keep standing up, but you get the sense that
okay, we get the point.
Yeah. Yes.
You said you were in this hallway for a short period of time, and then when you came out, a lot of time had passed. More time than it seemed like.
Well, I didn't think so at first, but then when those Holdershack dwarfs came down and started bringing me food and flowers and small pebbles, and started telling me I was the queen of the mountain. They told me what had happened in the time since I left. When I left, there was a king sitting on the throne in Monterre. The fight between the Hark and the Adair was at a standstill, and now suddenly I was here, and I was pregnant like this.
Out of all of this, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
My lady, Ionas, it seems you two are something of kindred spirits, if not just because of your relation to Monterre, but perhaps through your travels. Perhaps we should make our way up and escort her, and you two can see what else rings true for the both of you.
Is it all right if we accompany you, or you accompany us to meet your husband?
Oh, I very much look forward to this. I can tell that it's time to meet my husband because of this. And she lifts up her tunic from the bottom, and you see.
Hold on.
Keep
wait,
it on.
wait.
We just went through this.
There's blood and liquid that are running down her legs, and she says, I believe he's coming soon.
Oh, let's get this lady old rock donuts and
Can you walk?
get her off our hands.
I can walk. It doesn't hurt none at all. She says, just let me get my things. And she walks to the back of the cave, and Pawson sort of walks kind of up to where she was standing, and he starts licking up the
Pawson, get!
Pawson
get!
on the ground.
I don't believe that's cheese, Pawson.
Oh, gross, Filnyr.
That's gross. He says,
I
it's
have
something
one
different.
I have one detect magic per day.
Okay.
That I'm going to go ahead and use from my class.
Remind me of what you can see with the detect magic.
You sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you, and I'm casting it. I want to be within 30 feet of her.
Okay.
If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by a blah, 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 blah.
Okay. So, all right. I'm not sure how this is going to work because I'll just tell you.
You don't have to give me a school, but
I can give you I can tell you that she is she is glowing brightly.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
So is a small section of the wall where she is near where it looks like she was sleeping. And it is about, it's a rectangle. It's a perfect rectangle. It looks like it's about 7 feet tall and 2.5 feet wide. And it is glowing. That is glowing with illusion magic. And on her, she is glowing very brightly with 2 different kinds of magics. She's glowing with transmutation and divination.
Awesome. I'm going to go over to the wall panel. He goes, fellas, there's something over here.
What do you say?
No. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Why not?
It's not right. It's not right. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't go there.
It's just a wall. What would be the problem?
It's not just a wall.
It's not. It looks like a wall to me.
Please don't look in there.
I send Saber in there.
Yeah, we are not going anywhere with a stranger into dangerous environs and leaving strange magics behind us.
Okay. You send Saber in there?
Saber's going in.
It's pitch black. Does he have dark vision?
He does not.
Okay.
I'm going to cast dancing lights. Oh, wait a second. I don't have dancing lights. Never mind.
Do you have
Different
light at
character.
Is it opened? Is there a door? Because Filnyr does have dark vision, so I don't know if he'd be able to see in.
Maybe if he watches Saber walk in there, I'll give you an intelligence check. You can give me an intelligence check to see through it.
Okay. Let's try that. 6 cumulative.
It just looks weird. Maybe he went through a crack or something.
Where did he go?
What did you send Saber? Ionas, I don't even see a crack that he could have disappeared through.
There's an area I could when Abel began to look at it, it seemed like there's an area that had some magic about it. So
it's an illusion.
I sent him over to check it out. It looks like
it's
the wall's
an illusion,
not really there.
Filnyr.
So if I start feeling the wall.
Yeah, you can, as soon as you touch the area, your hand goes straight through, and she just goes, please don't go back there, please. Just take me out of here, please.
If there's half-eaten bodies here, lady, I'm going to be so mad.
She just looks at you and she says, there's not half-eaten bodies in there.
Okay.
So Filnyr,
Pawson.
you can see in there.
Okay.
Wait a second. Is that your way of saying there's completely eaten bodies in there?
there's at least 5 sets of bones from dwarves.
Oh, lordy!
In this little cavern here,
and that's it. Just bones.
It's just bones.
No armor, no loot from them. Just their bones.
Just bones.
Gentlemen, to say this is her composting room would be to put it nicely. There are bones of dwarves. Do explain yourself.
I will say also, even though Saber can't see, he could probably smell a lot.
Sure. Yeah, he can smell.
And Pawson too, probably, right?
I mean, Pawson is very, like, his sense of smell is being like overwhelmed by the smells being put off by this dwarf now. They're just dwarves. Don't matter. They were good dwarves. Let's take the lady up the mountain. I know right where she wants to go.
Wait a second. What dwarves be these? We're not going to just find a hidden room full of dead bodies and go, oh, well. Lady, start talking.
This is not my first child. I've been pregnant 3 times before. I have 2 children in Monterre.
But there are more than...
Why are there dead bodies in this room in the cave?
Well, listen. Each child I was pregnant with, my body changed in certain ways. One of them, all I wanted to eat was fish. One of them, all I wanted was the juice from maple trees on everything. And this time, the only thing that I wanted until about 5 days ago was the fresh meat of charred dwarf.
Oh, good gravy.
And that was okay for you to just take?
They brought themselves to me, half-elf. They sacrificed themselves to me. They came in here naked. They came in here with salt upon their limbs and pepper and oil drenching on their skin. And they threw themselves on my fire. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. It makes me feel so terrible that I ate of them, but I had to. I needed them.
Can I get an insight check on that?
Yeah.
20, not natural.
Okay. Maybe the part where she said that it made her feel uncomfortable is not true.
Yeah, I was getting that sense. She described the oils and salts and peppers a little too lovingly for her to be super uncomfortable.
Could you please take me up to the cave entrance?
Fellas, turn to Jonas and Filnyr. I'm having some real second thoughts about all of this. The more I find out about this mountain god, the less I like it. And the less I want to bring Pawson and this lady to it.
What would you suggest?
Well, Abel, you spent the most time here. You didn't know any of this was going on?
I was real busy.
Busy doing what?
It's just amazing how little tasks
around
can
rocks?
expand to fill your day.
So
I was focused on personal matters.
I need all of you to give me perception checks, please.
My passive is a 16.
That is almost going to cut it.
I just rolled a 21 total.
17.
Oof.
11 for Filnyr.
Okay.
Still off put by the bones just in the room, just trying to unsee that.
So, Abel, this is the 4th time in your life you have felt this feeling that you're feeling right now.
So tonight's going to be a good night.
Tonight's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night. and it's exactly the same feeling you had when you first got up on the Red Cloud Mountain. It's the same feeling you had when you went through the Gnome's Gap Pass and you were sitting outside of Griggly's hut. And this time with that 21 perception that you had, you sort of finish the epiphany that you had when you were in the Gnome's Gap. And it is this.
Fellas, I got a feeling that our hike's going to bring a good fight.
It's that none of this is natural. None of this is real. All of this that surrounds you, the dwarven woman, Pawson, maybe even your comrades, none of it is real. Almost everything that's around you here is just little bits and pieces of gods playing at fun times with mortals.
Oh, fellas, I'm having a real existential crisis here. I feel like we're all puppets, that all our actions are controlled by the capricious roll of a dice.
And
none of this is real. We're all in some kind of made-up story.
All right, Abel. All right, let's calm down. I just put my hands around his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Everything seems very, very quantifiable.
Okay, baby. Yeah. Okay.
and Ionas, you also have a very similar feeling to how you felt when you were going through the tunnel from Monterre to the Red Cloud Mountain the first time, and also when you were going through the Gnome's Gap. This is the stuff of not magic, but something different, something purer in the weave than even magic. Even the things that you've seen Abel and Filnyr cast, this is sort of purer and more primordial than like any of those things. And this woman, this dwarven woman, this Handa, she is almost like a nexus of that weave thing that you are seeing here.
Okay. Oh, all right. I'm kind of comforting Abel, but I'm starting to breathe a little hard. All right. We're getting some strange information, but I'll tell you this right now. I am not going to be satisfied until I get to the bottom of what's going on in this mountain. Some power is at play here that we do not understand, and it is far beyond us, but at the same time, it has affected each of us on a major level. We seem to have an opportunity here.
An opportunity for what?
For understanding, to find out what it is that is actually happening in this reality. We are hearing about gods in lakes. We're hearing about gods in mountains. I went through a portal and lost time. There's a being with tattoos that can appear anywhere she pleases. Filnyr, you talk to weapons.
Yes, and they speak to me.
That apparently are made by other people. There are powers at work here that are beyond us, but that are affecting us. Wouldn't you like to know why or how we can escape this? Does this have anything to do with the current war that's happening? What's happening in the Breen Valley? Why all of these beings are all of a sudden attacking out of these portals? Can we find some way to control any of this?
Oh God, fellas, it's horrible. I look at you and I just see numbers written on a piece of parchment. Gods, let us ascend to the top of this mountain, if only to get away from this horrible feeling.
Okay, I think it's time for you to sit down, Abel. Just sit down for a second. Calm down.
I
thought tonight was going to be a good night. I was so wrong.
Handa walks over to you, Abel, and
hand to God if you get any closer to me.
and she says, "It gets so much easier. I promise you, it gets so much easier." And she like doesn't touch you, but she like moves her hand in front of your face, and as she does, little bits of her fingers drop off as tiny little pebbles until she's left with nothing but a nub on her as her right hand. And then she reaches down where the rocks have landed in your lap, and she just puts her nub right into your lap, and she pulls it back out, and the pebbles have reformed into a hand. And she says, "Donatus will show you the way."
Pawson.
Oh,
Yes.
I think it is time you lead us up the mountain.
I can do that.
Handa, I think we will keep our eye on you, and we will keep you safe as long as you respect the boundaries. We will not be as easily eaten as these dwarfs that you say gave themselves to you.
I would never eat anybody who did not give themselves to me.
yeah, but then why are you hiding them in the cave behind an illusory wall? That doesn't exactly speak to something you're you're entirely okay with.
Well, let's just say that when the young ones came, they knew what they were going to do, and they were happy to do it. But when they saw their families' bones, they got scared, and scared meat turns a little gamey.
I was turning to Jonas. I'm like, man, that octopus is sounding not half bad right now.
I'm with you.
So Handa just walks right in front of Pawson, and she dips her head down, like she puts her chin right into her chest, right in front of him, and without him even thinking, he opens his mouth and bites down on her neck skin, and he lifts her up, and he starts to carry her like a pup. And he looks over at you guys, and he goes,
Pawson, put her down.
And
Humans don't work that way.
and he starts to carry her
How
up.
does she have enough skin for that?
Good God. Filnyr, do something with your dog.
And he's carrying her up. He's leading you guys up the mountain.
She did seem to volunteer for it. Pawson, I find that repugnant.
None of this makes any sense.
And most of it is repugnant. Shall we continue?
Let's go up. As we pass by the gith, I want Filnyr to give them another cursory look to see if there's anything shiny or.
Can we loot these guys?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there wasn't anything on the bones in the cave.
Nothing on the bones in the cave. Nothing in there. And in fact, like what she took away was like a very small, almost like a purse, and nothing else in there. Like you can see there was like a little swirl in the dirt in the stone where she maybe had been sleeping, but like this is not some place that looked like anybody had been staying very long. There was no.
This
bed.
lady's been eating rocks and living off good vibes, fellas. We're in for some weird shit ahead, I think.
I want to run an Arcana check on the bodies.
Okay. On the bodies of Gith or on the
Gith? The Gith.
Okay. All right.
That's a 21.
Ooh. Okay. I don't know how to describe this. They are. They have not been in this plane for very long. So they, your best guess would be maybe like 5 days, 6 days. They've even been in this plane.
Mm-hmm.
They are, they clearly all have some kind of magic that's dying with them. It's not magic that you've encountered except with these gith these last few days.
Okay, but nothing, no magical items.
So one of the ones that's burnt up on the ground has a particularly nice looking short sword that has not been affected at all by the fire at all. It's very cold to the touch.
Okay, I picked that up. I've got a very special short sword here.
Is that something that you can use?
Not I. I could sell it, but perhaps you or Abel, I'm not sure.
Well, perhaps we will find out what it's good for, and if it is not good for any of us, we will sell it, as you said.
I'll hold on to it. So I picked that up. No other items.
Nothing really of note. Like these guys weren't carrying gold. These
Potions?
guys,
no rings of
no
protection.
potions. No, these were
Scrolls
basically
that weren't
monks.
burnt up.
Well,
there was one scroll which I took already on
Yeah.
the Gith with the Fu Manchu.
Yep.
Yeah.
I run an Arcana check on the dwarven skeletons,
Okay.
and that's a natural 1.
It's real dark.
Magic.
Can't see nothing.
Magic is all over them.
Okay.
Like it's just nothing but magic. You're not even sure these were ever dwarves. In fact, like these may also just be illusions
Polymorph
of
chickens.
bones. Yeah.
I look at them. I'm just mumbling to myself. Dwarven bones, magic all over bricks that are books. All of a sudden.
All right, we
Magic.
should hustle after Pawson then, yeah?
Yeah,
Pawson's
we're
still,
following.
he's ahead of you. He's probably like 400 feet ahead of you now. But he's just walking his normal pace. And he's like kind of snaking up this mountain, and you actually have to cross from the Prisoner's Pass. You cross up and over into Hark territory, and you are coming up to the cave. So this is the cave that Jonas came through. This is the cave that Abel fought in his very first episode, fought with the Holdersheks for Garrick Holdershek's son's coming of age ceremony.
Fellas, I sense we're at the center of a confluence of events.
I start breathing real hard. This is it. This is how I got here from Monterre. This is the cave.
And as you get closer, you see that they had sealed it up at one point. There are just rocks everywhere that have been knocked down so that you can get into this cave. And you're about, so you come up the hill. It's a clearing about 50 feet by 70 feet until you get into the cave opening. So you guys are still in the trees. Let me know what you're going to do. Like, how are you going to handle this? You're still in the trees. Pawson stops at the edge of the tree line.
Well, first, I'm going to give a perception check.
Okay.
Yeah, if Pawson stops.
19.
Yeah.
I would stop for sure.
Okay.
I mean, we have not been stealthy coming up the mountain, but
no.
I want to
Abel,
look at what we're getting into.
you spot above the cave entrance on it there are trees that sort of keep the forest keeps going up the mountain. You spot behind one of the trees, clearly hiding, a person in red studded leather with a bow trained on you.
How far away?
Do I recognize this person?
You mostly he's got a hood on. It is definitely Hark colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, it's hard to tell. He's about 200 feet away from you. It's hard to tell who he is from this angle.
I just step out into the clearing and I point my spear at that tree and I say, Willem Searchlight, if that's you, by God, I swore the next time I saw you, I'd kill you.
and you all hear from the cave, someone says, "Is Willem Searchlight here? God damn it, if he's here, we're fucked." And you hear
and
another...
then I shout out, "Oh, goddamn, Abel, the person I saw on the chest, I recognize. I think that was Vinay."
"Oh shit,
Vinay!
They know who we are."
Is that you? We mean you no harm. Come on out, fellas. Say hello.
Who is it?
Vinay,
Who is there?
Vinay,
It's Sergeant Abel and the new recruits.
Yes, it's Ionas.
Turncoats? You a bunch of turncoats.
No. We would never do that. We were on a secret mission. Just ask Waverly.
Oh, Waverly's not here.
Oh, well. You'll have to take my word for it then.
Where is he? We were told he'd be here at the cave.
Oh, we haven't seen him? What's your business here?
Well, who else you got in there with you? We're your relief. We're here to assist.
I don't think so, old man. No one knows we're here.
I'm wearing my Hark colors. Look at me.
Wait, are you wearing your Hark colors?
If I'm not, I could be very quickly. Right?
He says, "Abel and I have this. We are like.
I am wearing my old Hark armor.
We are ready for this." Abel says Hark colors, and they immediately turn to Hark colors.
Wait, so Hark still around?
Well, depends. I mean, Hark is Waverly is the one holding all this together. If he hasn't shown up, then we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do.
Well,
What you fellas been up to?
well, we've been, like you said, Waverly's supposed to come here. We've been protecting his children and his wife.
Vinay, you know you can trust me. You have my manservant with you.
Percy?
Yes, Mr. Percy. He's my manservant. I am here to retrieve him and make sure he's safe.
Well, see, the thing is, is that Mr. Percy fell down this morning. He's fine. He's fine. He's not. He hit his head, and he's not. He's saying some weird stuff.
Vinay, we need to see him right now.
I think I need to see Mr. Percy right away. Yes.
Filnyr's going to walk out, and just in case anything happens, he's going to take the dodge action as he walks out. He's going to walk slowly. Just be like, "Gentlemen, we are clearly not here to fight with each other. Please, let us come closer and we can parley. We can see Mr. Percy. Perhaps we can make sense of his ramblings or help him recover from his head injury."
Well, I mean, he's fine, but he's talking weird.
May we speak to him?
But you understand, anything he says is going to be probably wrong.
Vinay, I'd like to introduce you to my winter wolf, Pawson. And I gesture.
Pawson may have
He is not hungry.
You may have to put down the woman.
He is not hungry. It is much worse. He is very horny. I want to be very clear about the stakes of the game we are playing. Now, please, bring us to Mr. Percy.
And he's got, you know what? Wait, let me. Okay.
The way he's rolling dice back there.
Okay. Vinay says, looks at you guys, and he says, all right, well, just tell me this. Did you all really kill over 100 Darren cavalrymen?
Hell, is 150 over 100?
And the half elf there is the one who opens up pits to hell.
Would you like to see one?
No.
Good.
And the dark
And
one.
perhaps we can speak to Mr. Percy now.
I will. When is the dark one the one who has claimed that he is actually the king of all these lands?
I am the rightful heir to Monterre.
And you can do things like grant pardons.
Pardons depend on what has happened to my man-servant.
All right, and Vinay just sort of like, he under his breath, he's like, go, just get him, Maybe we can just tell him we're sorry. And Percy walks out of the cave and he says, "Oh, master, oh, Ionas, sir, it's so good to see you."
Yes, Mr. Percy, come over here. Come speak to me.
Vinay,
Are you all right?
I'm quite certain you're going to die, Vinay.
Mr. Percy, what happened?
Oh, Mr. Ionas, sir, I'm so glad to see you.
Are you hurt, Mr. Percy?
Yes, they have hit me many times, sir.
Can I do a cure wounds on him?
Sure, yeah.
Why would they hit you, Mr. Percy?
Well, I rolled a 1, so that's 4 points of healing. But that's probably quite a bit.
Probably
for Mr.
good.
Percy.
You'll be happy to know he was down to 1 hit point, and now he is at full hit points.
Mr. Percy, you look the picture of health.
Apparently, he is not a sidekick. He's just an.
He's not a sidekick. I'm mostly just a man who cleans up after Silhovines. Mr. Ionas, Vera is not in a good way, sir. They have kept her from drinking her wine for many, many days, sir, and she is not getting better.
Take me to her. I got spell slots to burn, baby.
I just as he's speaking, I'm just staring daggers at Vinay. Vinay, you and whatever Hawk soldiers are with you, leave now.
We just leave.
If you know what is good for you, you will walk away now.
He puts his finger up in the air and he just spins it around. He says, "Move out, boys!" And you just see like 8 guys just come walking out of this cave. I've all got bows. You don't recognize anybody except for Vinay and a couple of the archers. The one that's up in the tree, he moves up the mountain more, and everybody else just sort of moves down the mountain.
I run into the cave.
Okay. You've been in here before. This is where you first killed Guardian Bear, and there is another Guardian Bear here that has been killed. And
if I didn't know it was a Guardian Bear, does it really count as having killed a Guardian Bear?
No, it doesn't count. It doesn't count as killing a Guardian Bear. And they have kitted this place out as best they can. There's not a lot of supplies here left. But there is the chest is here, and you see Vera and her 2 children sitting at the chest, and they look like they've just been sitting there for a long time. The kids are quiet; they're sort of looking distantly, and Vera, I think the only time you've ever seen Vera and the children was when you first went in the tower. Before you went to fight the druids. So she doesn't really recognize you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to do a medicine check. We're here to help. Okay. Lady Cloudsack. That's a 14.
Who are you doing this on?
Her and the kids, just assessing their health. If they're injured, if they're malnourished, what's going on?
They are malnourished. They're definitely hungry. The children have been put through some pretty extreme trauma. They do not seem right. They do not seem like healthy kids. They do not make eye contact with you when you come in. They do not react to you coming in. Vera sort of acknowledges that you're there, and there's a moment that she's sort of happy that they're leaving. And then when Mr. Percy comes in behind you, he says, "Oh, Madam Cloudsack. Oh, our prayers are answered. Gather the children. We'll be going to Monterre now. I'm quite certain of it."
Abel.
This is Ionas Silhavine. He's here to cure you.
I'm not inside yet. Abel, is everyone all right?
Yeah, but they're a little worse for wear. And I take a little bit of my rations and I just put it on the ground next to each of the kids. And I'm wondering, well, shoot, I'll just give it a try. I say, "Tempest, I don't know what kind of terms we're on these days, but these people could really use your help. In your name, take the sickness from this woman." And I lay hands on her and I cast Lesser Restoration.
All right. Tell me what Lesser Restoration does. What does it remove?
You touch a creature and can end either one disease or one condition afflicting it. The condition can be blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned. It doesn't remove the disease of alcoholism. Or at least detox.
You know what? And it just it's a second level spell slot. It's kind of automatic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She looks up and she says, I'm very thirsty, but perhaps not for wine."
Here, drink this water, lady. It will restore you.
She starts to drink and she looks down at the rations on the ground and she says, "Children, eat. I think this one means us no harm." And neither of the children eat.
And I sort of, under my breath, I say, "I know it's been a long time since I said this, but thank you, Tempest."
How far away are those soldiers?
They are moving, quickly, but they're not running. They're not dashing. So they're making their way. They're to the tree. You guys came out of the trees. They're at the tree line now. And Vinay sort of sees Handa, and you see that he stops, and he gets down on his knees and he kisses her feet, and as he gets up, he sort of very slightly touches the inside of her ankle, and you see that he's taken some blood from her ankle, and he rubs it between his fingers and just smells it, and stands back up to go down the hill.
It's fucking gross. And did Pawson put her down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she's standing.
Yeah, when you told Pawson, yeah. Yeah.
Are they okay, Abel? Should we let Vinay walk away?
Fellas, we got a lot ahead of us right now. I don't know that we can take on any fights that are avoidable.
Oh, there will be no fight.
I think Pawson could make short work of them if we asked him to. But if they are...
Pawson goes over to you, Filnyr, and he says, "Master, did I hear you say make short work of? I think you mean eat."
I thought you were not hungry.
"I'm not hungry. I have something I'd like to do first, but I could kill them."
How far are we from where we need to go for you to do your business?
Not far. Not far at all. In this cave.
Abel, are they okay?
Milady, are you okay?
I'm feeling much better. It's very strange. It's like I've been in a haze for many, many days. Did my husband send you all?
Yes. He has instructed us to take you to a safer location.
Are we going back to Hark City?
I'm afraid we cannot, lady. Hark City is overrun. We must return to a village that belongs to us, where you will be able to live in comfort. Not in the squalor of this cave.
And there are people there?
There are
people.
And other children?
Yes. It is a loving, welcoming community, eager for a lady such as yourself to grace its society.
She pushes the boy, and it's on the ground, and she says, "Jeremiah, you must eat. Is this journey long? Is it far?"
More than one day, yes.
"Jeremiah, you must eat. Catherine, you must eat."
I can pull out the one rations I have left too and put it down.
Yeah, Catherine picks up the ration and starts to nibble on it. And Mr. Percy goes up to Lady Cloudsack and he says, "Milady, Ionas Silvervein will avenge. These men will be dead before the night is done. I've never known him to be one who would allow the kinds of transgressions to go without punishment. He's like his father in that way. Unbending, but fair. And she looks up at him and she just holds his arm and she says, Percy, you have been our strength in all of this. And the children start to eat.
Percy, say the word.
Ionas, these men were cruel. Your father would have killed them. I think you should kill them too.
Cruelty is not a capital offense. If it were, this valley would be empty of people.
Abel, look at Mr. Percy.
He looks great. Tempest does fine work. Praise be his name. Goddamn.
I'm alive. I am well. My lady seems fine and well as well. I don't know how one lives through what she and the children lived through the last several days.
Why would these men be cruel to her if they were expecting Cloudsack to return?
Did they not fear retribution?
They blame him for their friends being cut down at the fort. They were taking out...
They're not wrong.
They were taking out their frustrations and anger on his family and upon me. Do as you will, Master Ionas.
All right. I walk back outside.
Okay.
Oh hell.
They're not running, but they're moving down the hill. They're sort of walking.
All right.
Are they in a file?
They're not in a file. They're kind of just walking together. There's 8 of them.
All within 30 feet of each
All
other?
within 30 feet of each other.
They are within 30 feet of each other.
All right. I launch it. I send it on. Fireball. Crappy roll. Shit.
Oh my god.
16. DC 15.
Out of 8
dex.
dice, that's
I know,
5
that's
ones.
horrible.
Wow, you averaged a 2 on that.
That's horrible.
Oh, okay.
Jonas, the Lord doesn't want you to kill these men.
Okay. Let me bring them up here. Okay. Let me just do these rolls. What's your DC on this one?
15.
Okay. Dexterity.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 of them are going to save. And let's see. Let me get the other ones. Too many dice here. Okay, so 3 of them are going to save and take half damage. None of them are dead with 1 fireball, but they look back at you and they freak out and they start running down the hill as fast as they can.
I send a minor illusion, just a booming minor illusion.
Flee for your lives! I will find you!
Oh shit! Oh shit! That was from him! That was from him! That was the skinny one! Run! And there's a small fire burning there. There's a couple of trees are up in smoke. And thank God it rained recently, or else we'd be in a real hot situation here with the fire.
Wait a second. Isaiah, Percy, the one we spoke to, Vinay, was he the ringleader?
He was the worst among them. I think we would have been safe if it wasn't for him.
Pawson, go get that one.
Pawson, eat Vinay.
Pawson, eat him first before you do anything else.
Pawson just bounds past Ionas. He bounds down the hill. They're running. He tramples one of these guys, and he kind of looks. You see him look down at the guy he trampled, not bald. He keeps going. He tramples another one, not bald. And then he finally reaches Vinay, and Vinay is running, and Vinay pulls out his great sword and turns around to face Pawson. And as he turns, Pawson grabs him by the throat, but the front of the throat, and just rips out his jugular, and Vinay just falls down, and he's about 300 feet away from the cave entrance down the hill.
So he can just barely hear me. He can just barely hear me yell, "Doesn't seem that way, but it could have been worse, Vinay."
And you see, Ionas, you see Pawson grab Vinay's foot, his boot, and he just is dragging the carcass of the bald Hark soldier up the hill, and his very, very, very loose head on the skin of his throat is just sort of barely hanging on as he brings him up, and you see him rip into his clothes, and he rips off his shirt and his pants, and he leaves him naked on the ground, and he sort of pulls him the rest of the way over to Handa, and he says, "I'm too full. Lady, would you like this one?" And she says, "This baby's coming. I do not have the energy to eat right now. Get me in that cave right now."
Children, don't look.
And
I should have said that before everything else. Hopefully you are focusing on your food.
and she walks into the cave, and remind me of where everyone is.
Children, there are things going on outside this cave that would be traumatizing.
Filnyr, are you outside?
I think I had to go outside to get Pawson out there, right? He wasn't inside.
Yeah.
So I think I would have basically gone back outside to give him that command.
So he's walking into the cave. Handa is walking into the cave, and he says to you as he gets you, he says, "You better get in, or you're going to get locked out."
All right.
Master.
Wait, if we get in, will we be locked in?
I can't hear you.
Everybody in.
Everybody in. I just grit my teeth. I just stroll in.
Should we leave them here? They'll be safe if the cave is closed. Or should they come with us? I do not know what they are about to see. I do not know what we are about to see. Is this...
I wonder if they do come with us, perhaps before we meet whoever's in the mountain, I could create a hut around the people.
Aren't you also required to be in the hut?
Yes, but I can still hear what's going on outside of the hut.
But they can still see what's going on outside of the hut.
And they can still see, yes.
It is better than nothing, but I do not know that you will have 10 minutes to set it up.
That is the only issue.
Well,
fellas, we got a lot of issues right now.
Pawson, you said the cave would be closed, yes?
It will be closing very soon, Master.
And we will be able to come back out this way afterwards.
I believe some of you will be walking out of this cave, yes.
Ionas, I leave this to you as it is Mr. Percy's potential risk, and Abel, perhaps you will weigh in on the safety of the children and Lady Cloudsack, but I have my reservations. We must get this woman up to have her baby.
We're not going to make it very far into this cave.
All right, let's go.
Pawson, take
Children
Handa.
and Percy, stay
Let's go.
here. We will return shortly and escort you to safety.
As soon as you guys are in the cave by about 15 or 20 feet, Handa just sort of waves her hand, and again, her whole right hand crumbles to the ground in small pebbles, and she puts her nub back in the ground where the pebbles were, and the cave seals up. It is completely sealed, and only for a moment it's totally dark. And as soon as it's like a split second after the cave seals up, lichen that is on the walls and the ceiling of this cave, it's like they're turned on, almost like a light switch. And you can see everything in here. It's all dim light, but you can see everything. And she says, "Priest, take Pawson. Touch one of the walls here. It doesn't matter where." Oh.
All right, I do it.
Okay. Which hand? I mean, which arm?
I was like, fuck you.
Okay. So
I nub it like she does.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you put your nub to the wall,
I ain't risking this hand. I can't lose another one.
when you put your nub to the wall, you feel a complete left hand inside the rock wall. And you are able to move your fingers around inside the rock wall. And just where you're touching, you feel like a latch that could rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. And you're touching it and you're holding it with your rock nub inside the rock wall.
Which way do I turn it?
Whichever way feels right. Down or up.
I turn it to the right.
Okay, so that would be if you're holding it. There's a center.
It's what?
Clockwise or counterclockwise?
Clockwise, righty-tighty. I take him very literally.
Yeah, clockwise is down. Counterclock. No, so clockwise is up. Counterclockwise is down.
I don't know what that means.
You must put it into the position that you want to go.
Well, where do we want to go?
I think we were supposed to go up the mountain.
Okay. I go. I turn it counterclockwise to go up.
Okay. So you turn it up.
And
clockwise.
next time you could be a little more explicit with your instructions, not just like whichever way feels right.
And where Abel has touched his nub to the wall, a hallway opens up and there are stairs ascending inside the mountain. And lichen turn on like a light bulb up this hallway. And every stair is smooth but solid. And you can see as you look up and the lichen begins to turn on as it goes up the mountain, you can see that the stairs are forming out of nothing, out of pebbles from the inside of the rock. A new hole up the mountain is forming. And the light sort of rushes in to this space, this cave that you all are in, and it gets very, very, very bright for a moment, and you all feel that same euphoria that you felt when you walked through the Gnome's Gap. And Ionas, you see on the wall sort of very rudimentary outlines of people drawn in lichen on the sides of the wall. And the wolf Pawson walks into the hallway and begins to vomit on the stairs. And the vomit pools and it moves up into the shape of one of these outlines of people, one of these rudimentary outlines of people. And you see an almost photorealistic version of the warlock that you all killed outside of Lake and Hearth on the wall, complete with her hand on an outline of what you can tell is a very, very, very large wolf. And thus ends episode 33 of Every War Must End, the Dungeon Dads podcast.
It's crazy.
Man.
That's crazy.
Where do you come up with all this stuff?
Oh, man.
This is awesome.
From the mountain, baby.
I don't know if you guys can see me. I was visibly shaking when we ran into those soldiers. I was like, I have to kill these people. I have to kill these people. I have to kill these people. I had the D6s in my hand, and then I put them down, and then I picked them back up, and then I put them down.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you touch Mr. Percy, you reap the whirlwind.
That's right.
I'm so happy you have Mr. Percy back.
No, I'm so happy too. We're reunited, and he's all
been a
beat
long
up,
while.
terrible. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
Reunited
great.
and separated.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, and it feels so good. You guys are like islands in the stream.
I've got some more jokes to make, but we may have to save it for the bonus episode.
Well, for the bonus.
Well, this one's not a bonus episode joke. I got one from my daughter that she told me yesterday. I don't know if she made it up, but boy, I hope she did. Why do you have to tell actors to break a leg before they go on stage?
Why?
Because there's no play without a cast.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's
It's not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for more humor, maybe not quite at that level, but
yeah. Come back for the bonus
aspirationally.
episode, everybody. If you're a Patreon subscriber, we'll be hitting up your feed in a week with our impressions of this episode. And full disclosure, before the next episode, I think before the next episode, I want to post what's on this scroll that Filnyr picked up today. I don't want to give away anything too much, but it is a puzzle. And it would be excellent if our Patreon subscribers had a chance to look at it. I don't want Filnyr to look at it, though. How are we going to do that? We'll talk about it in the bonus.
promise not to look at Facebook anymore.
Yeah. No, we can't do that.
You guys don't need me to run that page. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo,
Thanks.
everybody.
Toodaloo.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is Tim. If you'd like to help the podcast out, the easiest way to do that is to go drop a rating on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. We would also really appreciate it if you would write a quick review. It really helps people find the show, understand what we're doing, and let them know that it's worth their time. If you'd like to support the show further, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/dungeondads. You'll get all the bonus content, an extra campaign if you subscribe at the Montaran level, and we've dropped a few surprises as well. Thank you so much.